I don't know if you can see the disgust on my face. The tom was already on the ground. He was down in there. I guess you can figure out what happened next. Gone. Okay, you probably heard me coming. So today we're going to talk about a couple more aspects of tree stands, getting our tree stand set up properly. We're going to talk about tree stand noise as you're carrying it into the woods, as you go up the tree. We're also going to talk about how high to hang your tree stand, and we're going to put the smoke test to the stand today. So let's get started. We talked about unnatural noise, and deer run when they hear something unnatural. That's just their instinct. That's what they do. They're trying to survive, trying to stay alive. So if you've got a tree stand that rattles, clings, whatever, when you're carrying it in, fix it. You only got a short amount of time. We got 5 days to get this hunt done, 10 days. You might have 1 or 2 weeks off from work, away from your family, where you go in and try to harvest a deer. You can't afford to let things like this mess you up. And as you walk into the woods, you're just gonna be bumping deer as you move along, making this noise. So go to a home improvement store, find you some type of pipe insulation, some tape or whatever else, put on your tree stands. I don't recommend modifying the tree stand at all. You don't want to drill and cut on it, because then you're going to have safety hazards. Put something on there. Obviously it's going to wear over time. You'll have to replace it. But your stands are just like your ATV and other things. It requires maintenance. So work on it. We've got to get this noise out. Now, that's one of the things that makes me cringe the most, is when I'm walking through the woods and I bump or hit something, I make a metallic sound. And I know, I'm thinking, man, that is just going to echo through the woods and the deer are going to pick up on it. So correct any issues with your stand as far as noise goes, especially walking in, this heavy banging that you hear like that. And then also as you're climbing the tree, practice putting your stand up, practice taking your stand down. Do it as quietly as possible. But remember, the goal is to harvest a deer. The goal is to come in the woods and maximize your time out here and punch your tag. We want to take something home. So you can get the noise out of your stand, but then when you get to the tree and start climbing it, be able to get in and out of the stand, be able to assemble and unassemble the stand with no noise, be able to climb with relatively no noise. And then when you get toward the top where you're at, work your stand back and forth, or just do it a couple feet off the ground with your safety belt on, obviously, and make sure you don't have any squeaks. If you have some, get you some nylon washers, get something, and correct that problem. Okay, so we're going to knock the noise out so the noise doesn't knock us out of punching our tag. Okay, if you remember earlier, I was giving the example of how much noise this tree stand was making just by walking. 5 minutes back here at my barn, actually got some bungee cords and clamped them tighter together. The factory assembly process for backpacking into the woods, carrying these on your shoulders, didn't keep it tight enough to keep it from rattling. So now it only took me, like I said, a matter of minutes to correct that problem. Fix the tree stand noise problems and you'll have better success in the woods. I'm gonna keep working on this, make sure that I can take it apart, put it together, assemble it on the tree where there's no noise or a minimal amount of noise. But that's what we gotta do. We gotta be careful and critique everything that we do so we can be more proficient in the woods. If you got a short period of time to hunt in, you want to be able to capitalize on it. And we can't have things like this that rattle and make unnatural noise and spook the deer get in our way. Okay, as I mentioned last week, we're doing the smoke test on our tree stand. And I'm doing this at ground level, and I want you to look at where the smoke hugs the ground and follows all the way out up this little finger ridge. Look at this. I got my smoker ground level, and you would think it'd take straight off and go up because of the temperatures. But look how this hugs the ground. So you know your body temperature is what, 97.8, whatever it is. So the odor or your scent coming off is going to be relatively the same temperature. And then as it goes out, conduction is going to cool it off. And you would think as it cools, it's going to drop, correct? But it depends on how these air currents move. In this case, my smoker is much more hotter than 97.8. So I would have thought it would have went straight up. Now, most time you build a fire, it goes straight up. But not in this case. You can still look. The smoke is still going right up through this little finger ridge. So that's how careful, especially if you're doing a ground blind. You got to play the wind. Make sure that your scent's not blowing toward the deer. As you saw a minute ago when the smoker was running pretty good, the smoke was just easing up this little finger ridge and dissipates out there. And you know, who's to say how wide your scent band's going to be? As it hits the air, it spreads out and the molecules or the odor molecules start dispersing. It may get wider as you go through there. So on a tree stand like this, obviously I'm just getting it on the ground. For this example, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to improve a tree stand setup. So one thing you got to remember is your scent will carry, and it's indicative of the thermals. It's indicative of the temperatures. You know, I was fortunate. I had a nice cool day this morning. It's in the lower 50s, so it worked out pretty good. But still yet, if you're warmer than the air temperature, then the odor or the scent coming off you is going to cool and drop. It's not going to go necessarily straight up. So now let's do the next example. Okay, this isn't very easy to do. So now I'm about 25 feet in the tree, and look at the smoke. Now the smoke is getting caught in more of the turbulence and these other thermals up here, and it's going more out and up versus back on the ground. Watch. See, it's coming up. You can see the wind's blowing from the west, and it's blowing that way, but look how it disperses and goes up. You got to remember, we're hunting primarily in colder temperatures, so your body heat, like I said, is 97.8 degrees. So if it's 20 degrees out, what is that, 78 degree differential? So your scent is going to cool, and as it cools, it's going to drop. So you want it to be caught in these thermals or these winds. So by hunting a little higher in your tree, it reduces the probability significantly of deer winning you, because now you're higher up and it will carry a longer distance, and that way it'll help your scent disperse. You've also got a longer distance from where you're at to the ground, and as those scent molecules spread out or widen, the band, I'll call it a scent band. I don't think of it as just a narrow strip of scent. I think as it gets airborne and hits the wind, it spreads out. So being, you know, in a tree at a higher level will help that scent dissipate and disperse. But more importantly, I'm running out of smoke now, it's going to blow that scent right over the top of the deer's head. So it's up to you. This is my preference. As I said, I've learned over the years, and I went through the school of hard knocks just learning to hunt on my own. And I have found out that being in a tree at a higher level, as far as feet, I can get away with the scent a lot easier, and I can also get away with the movement. So, but still yet, you got to remember, as I said in the other video, if I can turn this around without dropping my camera, you can see that top of the ridge. I'm 25 feet in the tree, but if the deer came straight down that ridge and looked up, it'd be staring me in the eyes. So there's a lot of things you got to be conscious of. And we can nitpick deer hunting, and by no means am I trying to take the fun out of it. But when you've only got a short amount of time, and I've been down that road, you got 4 or 5 days. And I used to book in all my vacation around holidays. I'd book in them with Thanksgiving and Christmas and things like that, so I'd have additional time to hunt. We can't make mistakes. So you want to get rid of the noise from your tree stand, getting the proper tree stand height. Depending on the topography, depending on where you're at, what the situation is, will help your scent disperse above the deer and just blow on out. And like I said, that scent band, as those scent molecules spread out, being, significantly higher in the tree, will allow those scent molecules to dissipate even more. Additionally, and more importantly, I think, is the additional height in your tree stand will give the opportunity of that scent blowing over the deer. Remember, the deer is only, what, 3.5, 4 feet tall, something like that? So it's got to get down to their nose. So you saw the example on ground level, the scent just basically hugged the ground. But at the same time, like I said, most of the time we're hunting in colder temperatures. Now, a lot of times in September we're hunting in, 70, 80, 90 degrees. So if that's the case, then you only got, 7, 8 degree. Well, if it's 90 degrees, you got 7.8 degree difference. So that means your scent's going to come off and it's going to cool down to 90 degrees. Whatever the air temperature is, that's what your scent's going to cool to, where you get that equilibrium between both temperatures. And then it's just going to follow the currents. So if your scent is warmer than the air, it's going to rise until it equalizes out, then it's going to fall with the air temperatures. So it just depends. But like I said, being up in the tree, a little higher up, you got your safety belt, safety harness, and all those things on, obviously, gives you a better opportunity of making a harvest. It's one of those things where these little items, as I said in the other video, they add up. It's like the old saying, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Now you can disassemble an automobile and all those parts don't have no value, but you put all those parts together, you got something you can drive. It's the same thing with hunting. You do your scouting, you do your practicing, you wash your clothes, you try to be scent free, you stand, you set up, you stand location, reducing noise, getting the proper height, your broadheads, all those things. And I probably left a lot of different things out. All those add together to making the shot, okay? But they don't mean anything unless you're able to punch your tag. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna cool the smoker off. I don't have any bees. Maybe I need to get some bees and try this thing out. But I primarily got this. I tested it on my stand last year, just watching the wind currents, and I'm sure it'll be different. Maybe I'll do a follow-up in the wintertime when the temperatures, in that nice 15 to 20 degree range. So I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.